So we're at the range, first time out with the Ruger number 1 in 7x57 Mauser, trying out some hand loads. I just took a charge and let's see how it goes. I'm using the 175 grain partition and Norma MRP powder, which is basically the same as Reloader 22. And the first shot over the Crony says 688 meters per second, which is about 2,250 feet per second. It's quite a slow load, but I just wanted to start somewhere and see where it takes me, kind of. So I only have 10 cartridges with me today of the same charge, and I've now bore sighted the rifle onto the target through the the loopholed Scandinavian. I don't know why it's called Scandinavian, but it's a 227 by 33, and let's see how it shoots. The purpose of this visit to the range is not to sit here for hours and hours and try different loads and powders and so on and so forth. Rather, it's just to see does this bullet work in the rifle, and obviously this is a kind of test for heavy for caliber bullet. So where I hunt, it's you rarely get shots above 100 yards or 150 yards. So it's really, I don't see the point in going for a Akibon 140 or something with a higher ballistic coefficient. So I just used one shot for the velocity. Obviously not a very good thing from a statistics standpoint, but I just wanted to see in which ballpark I'm at, and now I'm going to shoot a few shots and see what it looks like on paper. So I couldn't really see the first shot on paper through the scope or the binoculars, but it does look like the target's full of debris or something, so I'm guessing that the shot went too low and just kicked up a lot of grass or dirt or something. So let's have a look if that's true or not. It did look good through the bore scoping or bore sighting. I was really centered on the left target there, but maybe it's too low anyway. So we're having a short walk and talk with the Ruger number 1. Well, let's see the moment of truth. Where is that bullet, or where did it land? And as you can see, there's a lot of crap here, so obviously my assumption was correct. Yeah, where did the bullet hit? It must be mighty low because it kicked up grass and so forth. So I don't know. Huh, look at that. It's actually part of the jacket is stuck here on the target. Never seen that before. Well, I need to come up quite a bit because I was aiming on this one, and obviously it's very close to the bottom part of the target. So yeah, I will adjust, go up about 10 inches, or sorry, like 4 inches maybe, and have another go. So let's see how it goes. Actually, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to shoot at this target, and I'm not gonna aim in the middle here because it's totally stupid. If the bullet ends up in the black like some of these previous bullets from someone else, I will not see it from 100 meters. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to aim here, I mean in the correct location, height-wise, but in the middle, so I get the guarantee to get the bullet on paper, and then I can do my adjustments. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. So walking back to the bench, if you haven't been bitten by the Ruger #1 bug yet, I don't know if this video is gonna help with that or not, but I'd suggest you head over to Dennis Pritchard's excellent YouTube channel. He has a lot of videos about the Ruger #1, and he's used them for many years, and he talks very passionately and at length about these rifles and the cartridges. He has one in 7x57 and a couple of more, I think 7mm Ram mag. So I'll put a link to his channel or one of the videos in this video, because it's really worth checking out. So I only have 8 cartridges left, and there's no I need to be a bit economical on that part. So we already know we're a bit low here, and there's no point in shooting another shot with the same setting, I think. So I'm gonna go ahead and go up about let's say 4 MOA should be a good start, I think. There we have it, another empty case. I can't believe how low I'm hitting. I mean, I increased like 4 MOA now, and still getting quite low, but at least I saw the bullet now on paper, and it looks like it's, I don't know, 6 inches low, maybe 7. So I looked through the scope and I cranked up the elevation and to where the crosshair meets the bullet, and now it looks like I've pulled it up about 10 MOA, which is it's almost crazy. But let's see. Let's load another one, shall we? Into the chamber you go, little buddy. Block is going up. Now we have the tang safety. It's just wonderful. So now I'm getting a bit worried. Why isn't the rifle doing what I expected, or the scope adjustments are not behaving as it should? Yeah, normally bore sighting and so on is a very easy thing to do for many different other rifles I've had and other scopes. So I don't know what's going on here, if it's something with the screw on the forehand, or if the maybe the rifle doesn't like these heavy bullets, but let's see. Okay, so the first shot after the adjustment landed down here, and I was aiming here. So I pulled it up like 9 MOA, and then I shot another one. Then we arrive here, which is pretty okay. But since I'm aiming about here with the duplex post on this side, so you still have a ways to go to the right to the point of aim. So I adjusted 3 MOA to the right, and then I went over here, shot at this one, and landed there. So what I need to do now is move it another probably 2 or 3 MOA to the right, and go down maybe 1 MOA, and then I'm gonna shoot a group on this one. So let's talk about the velocity. I mean, this load does like 2,250 feet per second, and that can seem kind of slow, right? But when you think about it, what made the 7x57 Mauser famous from the beginning was using heavy 4 caliber bullets. I mean, the original load was like 175 grain bullets doing 2,300, which is basically where we're at now with the 175 grain partition. So you will have a tremendous amount of penetration with that high sectional density of the bullet, and the reasonable velocity. The bullet is not gonna blow up on impact. What's even more interesting is that in the book by Elmer Keith from 1936, I can't recall the name right now, but he mentions calibers for brush and timber use and so on. It's a whole list or each section about which calibers he recommends. And for brush and timber use, he actually recommended the 6.5 by 54 Mannlicher Schönauer, shooting a 160 grain bullet at 2,300. So can you imagine that? I mean, Elmer Keith actually advocating a 6.5 for use in the brush and timber. It's kind of amazing. So he wasn't all about big bores, although he did say that he would never recommend a small bore to a beginner, because if you don't have any experience, you don't have any margin, you know what you're doing, and you're gonna not be so maybe judge your shot placement as well as an experienced shooter. So anyway, now it looks much better. We have a group, 3-shot group. It's in the right place and it looks pretty decent. So there you have it. Good old Ruger number 1. So there are a lot of different ways to grip the rifle when you're shooting from off the bench. I prefer to keep my hands as close to a hunting situation as possible, which means that I want to have a firm grip on the forend, and I rest the hand in the sandbag, not the forend itself. And obviously the rear is not going to be mimicking a hunting situation, because you don't have any rear support usually when you sit in a stand or something. But I prefer this way, then I'm controlling the forend. The rifle doesn't jump out of the bag, it doesn't move sideways and so on, and maybe it doesn't give you the utmost in precision or the smallest groups, but over the years I've come to the conclusion that this works best for me, especially when you have more recoil. The more recoil you have, the firmer you need to grip the rifle, basically. That kind of goes without saying, but I know there are other people who prefer to shoot with no hand on the forehand and just keep it around the bag back here, like Dennis Pritchard, for example. And obviously people are very successful in doing that, and that's great. But I haven't had much success with that myself. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. It doesn't really matter. You can hold the rifle however you wish. I want to keep things as close to the hunting situation as possible, so I know that when I steer the rifle, it's going to be very close to how I grip the rifle when I'm hunting, so I don't have a deviation. So that's the way I shoot. I will put a picture from one of the books where Elmer Keith is shooting shooting a Ruger number 1 in 458 Win Mag, I believe, off the bench, and he's holding it almost exactly like this. Obviously that's more recoil, and then you need to hold like that, but I think it works really well, and I'm gonna stick to that. I will not be introducing this kind of shooting without holding a forearm. So that's me, and you can do whatever you wish, and there are tons of comments and opinions about this as always, so do whatever you're happy with, and that's gonna be great. I want to have a look at one of the peculiarities of the Ruger number 1, obviously the falling block mechanism. If you imagine, if you have a Remington 700 or something, you have 2 locking lugs, right, on the on the bolt and then go into these slots in the receiver. If you look at this one, it's like, can we get a focus here maybe? This block is like more or less, it's not solid but almost, and it's resting with an enormous surface against the back of the action here. So, you know, when you think about it, how is this ever gonna fail if you have like an overcharge or something? You know, how would that work? It would have to rip off the whole action and pull off or shear off the whole piece here. I mean, it just, you know, it cannot happen, right? So this is why it's such an extremely strong action. That is very different from the normal locking lugs of a bolt action. So another thing I want to mention is that the shooting technique from the bench that I have kind of developed for myself is that, you know, things are so stable from the bench that the gun is practically standing still as opposed to the target and the crosshairs, right? So I always, you know, I just squeeze the trigger until it fires, and I don't know exactly when it's going to fire, and I don't care because it's not interesting. It's not an animal I'm shooting at. It has to be, you know, broadside, and then I take the shot. You have all the time in the world to take the shot. So if you just squeeze the trigger gently, it fires. You don't even know about it. Well, it's obvious when it fires, but then you're not going to jerk the trigger. You're not going to meet the rifle with the shoulder or the body. So when people are flinching, they always, you know, on other clips you can see when they forgot to put the safety off and so on, and like, you know, flinching or doing this. So you don't want to do that, and I think it. I had to learn it the hard way because my first rifle was a 300 Win Mag, and I started flinching from shot number 1, and it just kept on for months and months, and it was a horrible experience. It was painful also because when you're flinching, you're really working against the rifle and you're meeting the recoil with your shoulder, and it becomes even worse than if you just, you know, like Elmer Keith said, recoil, relax and enjoy it. It's true. I mean, it's very true. So I had to, you know, mentally just take command of my own brain and say that you have to stop flinching. You just squeeze the trigger gently until it fires by itself, you know, and you don't know exactly when it's going to happen, and that solved everything. So that was a very interesting experience to go through, and instead of, you know, reading about it online or in a book or something, you know, these kind of experiences are the best ones because you pick them up yourself, and it's really good experience, and it's really, you know, worth a lot to me. Now I'm very happy that it happened with the 300 Win Mag, because it, you know, it beat the hell out of me. And then I got a 458 as well with the same thing. So I had to, you know, force myself to overcome this, and it's all mental actually. And you see so many people out there flinching and doing all sorts of weird stuff, which is kind of ironic. You know, you have grown men, like 250, 300 pound guys that are like, you know, scared of a little rifle. You know, it's like, it's just a small movement, then it's over. And you're like, oh, I have to flinch, I have to jerk the trigger, oh my god, I have to, you know, I have to get out of this situation fast. It's, when you think about it, it's kind of funny, actually. So, yeah, that's what I want to say about kind of recoil management. Another interesting feature about the Ruger #1 is the the kind of a cocking indicator. Since you have the hammer is protruding, the back side of the hammer is protruding out through this lever. So you will see it here, you can feel it here, and then when you fire the gun, it goes away, and that's your kind of cocking indicator. So I was interrupted by a guy at the end of my shooting session. He was going to shoot at 300 meters, So he was putting up his targets, and I didn't really have the chance to go to the berm and film and show you the result, but here it is. This is the 3-shot group, and it's pretty well placed. It's roughly an inch high, and the group measures around 28 millimeters. I believe 29 millimeters is 1 MOA at 100 meters, so this is just basically 1 MOA then. So I'm pretty happy with this result. I'm not expecting more from this load that I just picked out of nowhere, and also the shooting position is not for extreme bench rest accuracy or anything, but this is definitely a nice group for hunting, roe deer and whatnot. So okay, thank you for watching.